Our love story. 4 years after my wife's death, I was talking online to a Turkish lady who lived in Istanbul, it being the opposite side of Turkey from where I lived, down near the Mediterranean coast. To my surprise, she said, "You would get on well with my cousin Gulden. She speaks better English than I do." On my asking, she sent me a photo of Gulden. When I saw it, my first thought was she looked like a serious type of person. However, once we started to correspond, I found her both friendly and charming. We'd been corresponding with each other via emails and talking on the phone for several months. During one phone call, Gulden said, "I'm going down to Antalya." As she had mentioned she liked antiques, I thought there must be a fair there. However, when I said this, to my surprise and delight, she said, "No, I'm coming down to see you on your birthday, along with my cousin Aysel, who's coming with me. I booked us in at a hotel in Antalya." On the day I went to meet Gulden and Aysel, I felt nervous. This would be our first face-to-face meeting. When I walked inside their hotel and saw Gulden sat on a sofa, I thought she looked most attractive. Not until 2 years later did she say that on seeing me, I was just the type of man she liked. When Gulden stood to shake my hand, I found she was not as tall as I had thought. While later, walking up the uneven pavements to a restaurant, I suggested Gulden held my arm. When she did, her hand slipped into my pocket and her fingers touched mine. That was it. From that moment, I knew that we would become more than friends. On the day of my birthday, I borrowed a car from Semal and drove to collect Gulden and Aysel. At my house, Oscar leapt up barking in excitement at seeing them. To my relief, Gulden made a big fuss of Oscar. Later, while sitting in the lounge, Gulden surprised me with 3 packages. She said, "One is for your birthday, one for Christmas, and one for the New Year." Her generosity took me by surprise. Then I said, "1 minute, I have something for you." I rushed upstairs to my study and picked out one of several presents I had bought while on holiday in South Africa. Taking it downstairs, I handed it to Gulden. "I hope you like it." Her eyes lit when she opened the box to find it contained a candlestick held by a statue of a cheetah. "Oh, thank you," she said. "It's wonderful." Late afternoon, I drove Gulden and Aysel back to their hotel in Antalya. After Aysel went to bed, Gulden and I decided to have a last drink in the hotel bar. On finding it packed, we wandered out into the garden. To our surprise, we found a blazing open fire. Here we sat and talked for hours, with neither of us wanting to leave. In the end, around midnight, I said, "I don't want to go, but you have to be up early in the morning to catch your flight back to Istanbul." Then, although I wanted to kiss her goodbye, I didn't want to risk spoiling what had been a magical day. Now, after 12 years, Gulden still reminds me about how I never kissed her before I left that night. We had agreed that I would go to Istanbul and stay in a hotel near where she lived for a few days. We could then get to know each other better. Unfortunately, before I had a chance to do so, I ended up in hospital and had 3 stents fitted in my heart. When I informed Gulden, she gasped and said, "I shall come down and look after you. You can't manage on your own." On the day Gulden arrived at Antalya Airport, as I could not go there, Semal, a friend of mine, met and brought her to my house. The minute she walked in to find me lying on the sofa, I cheered up. Unbelievably, during the 5 days she stayed with me, we fell in love. Such was our determination to get married, we booked flights and a hotel reservation for our honeymoon in Paris. We planned to get married on Gulden's birthday, but as they say, true love does not always run smooth, with ours proving to be no different. Once I had regained my health, as Gulden had invited me to stay with her, I traveled up to Istanbul. When I found Gulden, along with her daughter Konka, at the airport, I felt on top of the world. Meeting Konka was such a pleasure, as she had assisted Gulden in sending me email messages. From where I lived in a village in the country, it felt strange walking into Gulden's apartment in Istanbul, a city of 18 million people. However, I soon settled in, with Gulden and I getting on well. All was going well until we went to arrange our wedding. To our disbelief, due to my being English, things were not as we expected. Before we could arrange a date, we first had to have some medical tests and also obtain various papers. As a result, it meant we could not get married before our planned honeymoon. With our unable to cancel our flights and hotel booking without losing money, we decided to have our honeymoon before getting married. Due to being so much in love, we had a fabulous time in Paris, the city of lovers. A romantic boat trip down the Seine being the icing on the cake, and a wonderful experience. On our return to Turkey, we then set about getting all the necessary paperwork completed so we could get married. Once done, we booked our wedding day and informed friends and family. It was while getting our wills sorted out that we found the wedding register had made a mistake. Due to procedure, we could not get married on a Saturday as planned. As a result, with me, 72, and Galden, 69, we were married 2 days later than arranged. Unfortunately, due to the late change of date, only Galden's daughter Kanka was present for the ceremony. However, all those who had missed our wedding ceremony, including my daughter Kim, attended a reception we held in a hotel. Only one thing dampened our enjoyment. Galden's apartment policy prohibited dogs. It meant I had to leave my faithful dog Oscar behind. Thankfully, Semal, who had looked after Oscar during the time I had spent with my late wife in hospital, was happy to keep him. Now, in our 80s, in the 11 years since Galden and I were married, we have grown even more in love. We always hold hands when out walking in the busy main street close to where we live. While taking a rest cuddled together on a bench, we have received several compliments. One lady said, "You look so happy. You must be in love." Another lady said, "I only hope that I look as happy as you do when I'm your age." One lady stopped and asked if she could take our photo. Each night, when we go to bed, we always enjoy a kiss and a cuddle, and say to each other, "I love you." Without a doubt, many couples would love to look and feel as happy as Galden and I do.